and gentlemen, are you ready? Are you ready to get prepared for your maybe first interpretation job? Let's see how to prepare for the conference. Make it a habit to comprehensively get ready for your meetings. The second pillar of quality in conference interpreting, diligent preparation takes time and effort. You should schedule enough time to do the fundamental research before the conference. Various sessions are becoming more and more specialized and technical today, as you can guess. Also, there are a flattering number of competent interpreters who are entering the profession. Yes, competition is getting more intense. Consequently, for you to be always at the recruiter's top list, you must thoroughly prepare your assignments. Why? Because there are so many people who can do the job and so many people want to be the best, you can understand the rest. So you have to prepare your assignments properly. Resources of information. Today's conference interpretation depends on three major sources for the meeting preparation. These resources are conference documents, as you can guess, the pre-conference briefing, like exchanging information, gathering information, and our beautiful, we cannot live without anymore, World Wide Web, www, and all the other background information and terminology resources for sure. First source is the conference documents, we said. You should be familiar with mainly functional conference documents, agenda or program, background papers on the subjects and organizations concerned, content of speeches to be delivered, delegates and speakers lists, see how much paperwork, documents to be discussed, minutes of previous meetings, multilingual glossaries of the relevant terminology, PowerPoint presentations and the speaker's notes and the speaker's bios. Who are they? Very important. I mean, characters maybe, but more than that, like their level of intellect, their background, and all that stuff. Second source is the pre-conference briefing. The one responsible to do this briefing is the chief interpreter or team leader. He conveys cautious reminders to the conference organizers. And to avoid the last-minute finalization of the documents, chief interpreter can ask for drafts from the organizer beforehand, just enough to finish the final documents before the conference. Very important preparations, all about it. The team leader, however, should guarantee the organizer that all papers provided will be taken care of as strictly confidential and will be destroyed or returned, like Mission Impossible. This cassette will be destroying itself in 5 seconds. Then, you know, same. It is a confidential job. I told you many times, maybe I tell again, you should be as confidential as a lawyer or a doctor with a patient. Third source is the World Wide Web. This is really a powerful tool for both subject matter and multilingual terminology preparation, especially in the event of unavailability of conference documents in all the appropriate languages. You should be well updated in advanced technologies today. Learn how to proficiently explore the web to get the necessary information you need. On the other hand, it is still good to research background information and terminology through basic textbooks, our good old hard copies, dictionaries, encyclopedias, glossaries, and other preparatory materials, despite the growing online tools. So sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, I think most of the online tools have already taken the place of the hard copies, but any information you might find on the public library even can suddenly surprise you. Suddenly, you might not find it online, so please don't neglect the hard copies. Preparation of the glossary. The main reason of glossary preparation is to help you comprehend and memorize the conference interpretation terms. Take note that this is an essential learning process. You have to organize your own multilingual glossary for the conference. And one day you're going to write books about it, I'm sure. Do not depend on your teammates to do the work or your team leader. This is for your own good also. You do not want to get distracted in the middle of the session just because you cannot understand someone else's glossary that you're using, don't you? No, it's better you do your own job. Incorporate frequent relevant items of a more general nature and unusual technical terms in your glossary so that they are available anytime. Over time, you will not notice that you're becoming more and more familiar with those terms that you can quickly use them if needed. One day you might even not need them, but at the beginning, please rely on your pen and pencil. In doing your glossary, create a separate list for acronyms, committee names, and titles, and officials. Be sure also that you have a logical method for sorting terms in alphabetic order for every language in compiling your glossary. This system will help you easily find the terms you're looking for. So, be organized. To cross-reference your glossary against those your other colleagues have arranged is a useful way to identify if there have been same gaps in your preparations. In return, you should also be ready to share your glossary with your team members. It's always good to have exchange of information. Be sure that you're familiar with the names of all the pertinent countries in all languages you're working on. You should also be aware if there have been changes caused by political developments. Another pointer is that you have to ensure that you know how to pronounce names and other proper nouns. It will be a good idea to contain a pronunciation indication in your glossary. It's very important, ladies and gentlemen. Specifically when you deal with more than many languages, you might easily get confused of reading some letters, specifically in English, the difference between the sound letters and the alphabet letters and all that stuff. So make sure you know all that. Coordination with the organizer. To make certain that technical and other arrangements are in place, proper coordination must be done with the conference organizer all throughout the meeting. Also, to ensure the quality of the technical setup, it's a good practice to visit the convention hall the night prior to the conference. So get there, see the location before you work. Should the mobile booths would be used, an ocular visit the night before the meeting is done as well to double check if the booths are appropriately situated in the meeting room with a direct view of the speaker and the projection screen. The set preparation tasks are the consultants, interpreters, or team leaders' responsibilities. So always check, don't rely on anybody until you're very sure of what you're doing. The pre-conference briefing. It can have a big impact on the interpretation performance. A pre-conference briefing can be an important help to the preparation for a challenging technical session of the interpreters. If done properly, the team's presentation can truly get better. The pre-conference briefing can even improve your image as a professional interpreter. It may also serve as a reminder to the speakers to have any transcript copy which is to be read out during the session provided for the interpreters. This time, the chief interpreter or team leader can best handle it. This kind of briefing can be a chance to show the suitable reading speed for first-rate recited written text interpretation. So many things should be guaranteed before you even open your mouth. So when it comes to really the time, when the time has come, you would be very calm, not nervous, because you did your job, you organized everything, so don't leave anything to chance, because it can always happen something. We are living in a time of surprises. But the least you have them, the better for you. And now it is there, the conference, getting there and setting up. Professional interpreters are always on time. They always respect the time of other people, whether before or during the conference. As a professional interpreter, you have to arrive at least 30 minutes before the session, especially on the first day. If it is your first time, you have to allot even more time. If you are early, you can easily find your booth and you can properly set everything up. You will also have ample time to get ready and to verify whether any new documents have been distributed. Now maybe you can understand when we were saying in adult modules, please don't don't get it confused, I would say. Don't try to get two jobs which might be overlapping each other time-wise. That's one of the reasons. Can you imagine yourself running from one conference to the other and being there just 5 minutes before, seeing that your booth is not ready or any condition is not like you would like to have? You can't have 2 or 3 of them in one day. So that's why you need time, not only for the preparation but also for being on time. So you devote that time to that job to make sure. Okay. Having said that, it also says here it's important that you have plenty of minutes to review your glossary for sure and set off the relevant terms in your mind. Plus, you can still read through the most recent record of participants and make you acquainted with names that may be difficult to pronounce, can happen. And of course, being early will reassure your presence to the organizer. Remember to introduce yourself to any colleagues you haven't met and also the technicians as soon as you get to the venue. You are a team, all part of team. Look professional. Wear the proper dress code at all times. Have proper hygiene, like shaving. Maintain a good smell, not too heavy though. If you are to use perfume, wear a light scented one. Remember that you're going to work in an enclosed interpretation booth. Don't get suffocated from your own or from your partners. Also, do not use any jewelry that can create irritating sound inside. Ladies and gentlemen, if my chain, for example, my necklace would have a problem with my conflict with my microphone, although I love it, you see, I could have missed it. So thank God I'm as experienced as I can be that it doesn't conflict too much. But I even take care of having not more than one bangle, because the moment I actually move my hand, cling, 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 little things can cause irritation. So pay attention to them. Probably my earrings are not interfering with my earphone. Okay, that's good. So, having said that, get yourself familiarized with the equipment. Be sure that you know how to console works and how to operate it. Be sure as well that you know how to recognize when the microphone is on and off. Crucial, ladies and gentlemen. Ensure that all microphones are turned off after. Do a sound check. Everything must be properly working. If not, feel free to ask the sound engineer's help. That's why you're there earlier. That's why you're making everybody sure of your presence. That's why you get to know your team. That's why you get to know your technical team as well. In case of emergency, if something doesn't work, everybody is going to help everybody. Always maintain the cleanliness and orderliness of your working space. Make sure that your notepads, pens, and any other helpful stuff should always be organized. For trouble-free access, you should put in a well-situated position in the agenda, the list of participants, your glossary, and other important documents that you will often need to refer to during the session. Also note that you should chronologically sort the text of speeches in right order. Be sure that your mobile phone and any personal gadgets are turned off before the start of the conference. How embarrassing can it be when suddenly your telephone rings? Most cell phones obstruct with the audio system if they are closely located to the console, so even silent mode is not suitable. Think you're like in an aeroplane, yeah? Although some phones have aeroplane mode, the pilots and the flight attendants don't recommend to put it on that mode. Get rid of it, shut down, dead. Completely switch off your phone. You can just check your messages after the session. Not only that, but also distraction, ladies and gentlemen. Can you imagine now I have my cell phone here, silent. It doesn't even do the, any problem like any buzzing or anything, no vibration, but suddenly the light is on there, like green, beep, beep, beep. Even when it's here, I would see it and I would have a glance on it. So it's no good. So it's a distraction. It's a distraction. It doesn't maybe bother other people. It doesn't directly interfere with your job, but your mind will be distracted. So how much do you need your mind? Every single second. You are not having the luxury to lose your focus. Okay. Please respect your colleague inside the booth. You also do not want to get distracted, do you? So, microphone and volume procedures. The sound that should merely be broadcasted through the interpreter's microphone is the interpreter's voice interpreting professionally and undoubtedly the dialogue that is being conveyed on the floor. Microphone protocol, that is. As a professional interpreter, you must not make any noise in front of a live microphone, clearing your throat or anything. You should study how to silently handle documents and turn pages to avoid unnecessary sound, paper sound, maybe a pencil sound putting on the table or anything. There are unavoidable instances like coughing, sneezing, tough, they're really tough, that you have to briefly turn off your microphone in the middle of interpreting. During these moments, you should not use the main on-off control, for that will return your listeners to the floor. Instead, the cough button must be used, and probably you have a practice before everything, how to use your equipment. You should learn it beforehand, not 5 minutes before. Microphones should always be switched off when not in use for interpretation. This is another significance of microphone protocol. So you have to be sure that all microphones are turned off during breaks, recesses, or when no speech is being interpreted. Many awkward, see? That shouldn't be. Many awkward things can possibly happen when you unconsciously left the microphones on. It is a best idea, though, not to say unnecessary things which are not related to your interpretation work, even you think that all microphones are off. Be extra careful. Keep in mind to remain your voice down and set the volume off your headset to the lowest level all the time. Interpretation microphones are too sensitive anyway. Remember that keeping your volume down will help you listen to the speaker in a stress-free way. You can always adjust the tone control as well. Good. Then, this can be more efficient at times than increasing the volume level. Another pointer is to keep your one hand on the volume control so that you can immediately do the adjustments needed. If you will set the volume too high, on the other hand, you may develop a hearing problem. Maintain a calm and tranquil environment inside the booth. This will reflect on how you deliver your interpretation. Centered, relaxed, and good to listen to. And stress-free, for sure. Consecutive interpreting. To be a good public speaker is required in order for you to be an effective consecutive interpreter. Because, why? What do you think is the difference? Why should you not be that perfect public speaker as a simultaneous interpreter like or when you are a consecutive one? What's the difference, you think? Okay, now imagine, if you have not been exposed to that, imagine now somebody is talking now in Tagalog and I am interpreting right away into English. Say he's talking about Vancouver, a nice city. Okay, so he says things and I am now playing a consecutive interpreter, simultaneous interpreter, okay, on real time. So he started to imagine, he started to talk, and I am definitely simultaneously interpreting now. I would maybe speak like that. The weather in Vancouver is, despite the fact it is raining very often, can still be considered as mild. Especially because the summers are not too hot like in many other parts of North America, and but still when it comes to rain, I mean, when you don't like rain, you might actually hate it for that, because we can definitely say that Vancouver is really a rainy city. So I kind of pretended to be simultaneously interpreting, and you see that I actually dragged some vocabulary in order to gain time to understand and process what the other person was saying in Tagalog. That's acceptable. Nobody expects you to be speaking in a constant standard pace without having any moment like that, yeah? But in a consecutive one, I should be talking like that. He talked, and then you have to go like. Vancouver is a very rainy city, ladies and gentlemen. I know that many people are worried about it, but on the other hand, summers are definitely bearably mild. And therefore, other parts of Canada or America can be very hot in summer, but Vancouver is always mild, despite the fact that many people are still bothered by the rain. See, this is like more public speaking, because I don't have any excuse of stopping or dragging or anything. I hope the difference was clear. Make a review and apply all quality interpreting principles. There will be other requirements though, as a good public speaker and interpreter at the same time. Yes. So get ready and compose yourself first before facing your audience. Make sure that you practice proper eye contact to your viewers all the time. Why? Because now you are representing that person who spoke. Now they're looking at you like they're looking at him or her. Remember also that your body language should project poise and confidence. You have to consider several pointers before working in consecutive. Check your workplace. You should have a working surface to support your notepad and documents. See to it also that the microphone is properly positioned in a desktop microphone stand. More so, be sure that you will be situated in a place wherein you can clearly hear the speakers. It's better if you will sit at the table with them. There is another situation in a lecture hall. Be certain that you make use of a second podium or a table and a chair if the coordinators have arranged for a podium for the speaker. Media interpreting. In media interpreting, ladies and gents, may it be for radio or television, you may encounter a new set of challenges and restrictions. What are they? The problem can be technical, because when you're live and your audiences are also live, you still, can actually cover certain things with your poise, with your confidence, with your personality, with your calmness. But in a media, you are more so relying on technology. Coordinate properly in advance with broadcasting organization a list of basic technical requirements that the sound engineer should be familiar with. Do not make an assumption that broadcasting people are aware of the technical conditions necessary for live-to-air simultaneous interpreting. Expect the unexpected. Sounds scared, like, eh? Be ready if you will be asked to interpret live on set. Yes, you may work outside your comfort zone without a booth, cough button, access to help from your colleague, or even volume control. You just have to face the audience and do your job well. What is typical media interview? Let's look. The broadcaster can come in any time of the conversation. She usually asks fast, snappy questions. As an interpreter, you have to match the anchor's timing, pace, style. Be alert and attentive at all times. If there be many speakers, however, it is better to have the same number of interpreters, as many as the speakers. This will help to avoid problems of speaker identification for listeners or viewers. Can you imagine having to interpret two people as one interpreter? You can barely deal with one, and then it's like acting, voice dubbing. I hope that doesn't happen to you at all. Say no to that. So don't do that, especially not in the beginning of your career. Maybe in an emergency situation, one interpreter could be able to do both, but don't take that as one of your first jobs. That's my recommendation to you. Okay, quality interpreting now. As a conference interpreter, you're a communication professional. To have a quality interpreting, you should also be an interpreter of quality. Wow. Let me read that again. I love that sentence. To have a quality interpreting, you should also be an interpreter of quality. Very nice. Yes, you need to be a good public speaker, basically. You have to make your interpretation communicative, fluent, and meaningful. Every time you deliver your interpretation, make it like your own speech. Be clear and dynamic, but always take into account that main objective of your job, to faithfully, precisely, and totally communicate the speaker's intended messages, not yours. As a professional interpreter, you are ethically responsible for your work's uprightness. You must not bow to any pressure in performing your duty. Remember that you speak in the first person on behalf of the speaker as a professional conference interpreter. So bowing to everything that people are saying, yes, but how? You should be loyal to the speaker at all times. You have no right to change or add anything to her message, if you like it or not. You should always respect her point of view. Make certain also to equal your register to that of the speaker and the audience. So you will say I. Ladies and gentlemen, that can, in the beginning of your job, this I thing can be a little bit confusing. So you might feel some identity crisis basically with that, because you never said things before you were an interpreter, baby, in your life, probably. You never said things, which means things said by other people, things thought by other people, things expressed by other people. You never used I. If somebody is thirsty, you said she's thirsty, because you were not thirsty. She was thirsty. And now you have to say I am thirsty without being thirsty, because your client is thirsty. You understand? That's a little bit of an identity crisis. It requires a little bit of time to get used to it, to make somebody else's sentences your own. It's not very different than acting, actually, in that case. If you play Shakespeare's character and say with the skull of your uncle or your father, to be or not to be, you are maybe Hamlet, but you have never been somebody in your personal life to carry a skull and ask this question. But for your role, you actually giving the voice to that character. It is similar, very similar, not exactly the same, but very similar. You give your voice and your language to that person. You actually rent it out. You rent your voice and your language out to this person. Think like that. It is a little bit strange in the beginning, but you will soon get the difference and not feeling like you are talking and you're just delivering somebody else's message. Relay interpreting. If you're a good interpreter, you most likely can be a good pivot. If you're a pivot, you must practice all quality interpreting principles. Take note that everyone in the conference is relying on you as a pivot to convey the message of the speaker. Below are several helpful tips written here. Let's look at them together, how we may apply as a pivot. Should you be given an advanced reproduction of the speaker's text in a language that your colleagues in other booths understood, you need to ensure that they receive a copy. Brief your colleagues who will be taking relay from you on names, numbers, terms of special significance in the text if you have a copy in your language only. Another point, be in a position to state the name and identity of every new speaker and what language the speaker is to use. Acknowledge also when speakers change. And then start speaking right away. If needed, fill in the first few seconds of lag time with anything that is neutral to assure other booths that the relay system is working. Gap filling. That comes with experience. This will also serve as an assurance to them that they are tuned into the right relay channel. Articulate clearly. unmistakably pronounce numbers and quote document references twice if possible, and pronounce names clearly and slowly. Avoid using ambiguous words. Try to construct your sentences simply yet completely. Do not reproduce the false starts of the speakers. If somebody coughs or said something suddenly unwanted, you don't have to cough and mimic the speaker for sure. Avoid dead air. Do not make long pauses in your interpretation. You can drag it a little bit like I actually demonstrated, but that's all. When you are not interpreting, so what are you going to do? You still have so many things to do, even if it's not your turn at the microphone. You're accountable to carry on following the meeting, to get ready for your next turn, and to help out your partner. Be always alert. Don't get distracted. Don't leave the place spiritually. That's what it means here. Be there always for your partner. Remember that constant presence is a virtue. Do not leave her as much as possible. Him or her. If your colleague, on the other hand, has inevitably to leave the booth, do not give her suddenly the mic the moment she returns. Brief her quickly on how far the dialogue has developed. This is teamwork, we all said. It's a team support. Help out your partner. You can locate the documents your colleague may necessitate, and you can also locate for her the necessary information in the glossary. Your partner may need your help as well to note some important information. Be sure that your handwriting is big and readable. See? Clear speaking, not only clear writing. There you go. Okay, don't write like doctors. Follow the meeting. Be interested in the proceedings. You can give a better interpretation if you throw yourself into the perspective of the session. You have to observe properly what's going on. Be aware of expressions, metaphors, thoughts, and even jokes that may be brought up again. Remember to jot down new terms. Add them to your glossary. And the good news is, in every single job, ladies and gentlemen, especially when it comes to conference interpretation, your vocabulary treasure enhances. So you're readier for the next job. So one job makes you a better interpreter than the other. Okay, contact with delegates. Good interpretation needs good communication, not only with the organizer, but with the delegates as well. So grab every opportunity for you to have good interaction with them. You can do some public relations for the profession during social gatherings. Know your limitation as a professional interpreter, though. To become the center of attention is not a good idea. You should not dominate the attention of your delegates. If by any chance a delegate gives you some compliments, acknowledge your colleagues who also deserve the praise. You know, like an orchestra, when the first violin actually greets the audience and has the applause, the next thing he does is pointing out the orchestra members. So don't just stay there out as a star, even if you are one. Not even if you, because you are one, you should be taking care of the other ones. Okay, be responsible enough to maintain confidentiality. It says, sorry, I forgot something. If you criticize a colleague to others, it will be a huge mistake. So yes, don't gossip. Don't give any opinion about anybody's job in any other career as well. That's the worst thing you can do professionally. Be responsible enough to maintain confidentiality in all your interpretation work. You should not discuss, even with colleagues, any conference or a certain speech in public. Can you imagine doing so by leaving the microphone open, saying to your colleague how stupid the meeting is going on? Oh my God. Some of the politicians actually falling into that gap recently. You might have watched in the news, you know, when they leave the microphones open and give a commentary about the colleague or counterpart, and they clean it out years and years, like WikiLeaks. Okay, so really confidentiality is everything here. And the conferences you'll be dealing with will be probably world-changing issues mostly, because people come together to get, a bit of a discussion to improve something or to discuss something very important which might open new doors in any sector. So be a part of that importance. Okay, having said that, you should not discuss even with colleagues. If a journalist asks for a document, never give them any copy, although it's publicly obtainable. Let them get it from internet. They're going to get it anyway. You shouldn't be the one who actually broke the confidentiality there. You may refer him to the organizers of the conference if they want to get some information. You shouldn't be dealing with them. The actual hosts should be dealing with it. Okay, crisis management. As a professional interpreter, you should pay attention to a problem if it is in the best interest of the conference. What does it mean now? In the event that you have not understood some important things the speaker has mentioned, can happen, it is proper to make your clarifications over the microphone. Your delegates can make a decision to request the speaker to say those significant details again. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be ashamed of doing that, because the other part who is relying on your interpretation might have missed a very important point because you didn't understand it, or the speaker was not clear enough. So it's both of your responsibility to deliver this message rightly to the next party. You may also use the microphone to inform your delegates the problems that may have arisen. For instance, a speaker reads an unfamiliar document which any of your team has not received a copy of. There you go. This particular incident may affect the credibility of your interpretation. In this case, do not hesitate to use the microphone to let your delegates know that even how much you regret it, you have no choice but stop interpreting until reliable interpretation happens to be achievable again. So the quality of the interpretation, if anything happens, is mainly relying on you, definitely. So if you do so, you will be not necessarily feeling like you might think that I am like almost confessing or admitting a misunderstanding. It's not good. I should keep my intelligence. People still think that it's kind of flowing flawlessly. No, this is not the purpose. The purpose is not actually flowing like a river. The purpose is everybody understands everything properly, and it's your role to do so. So if you do that, definitely you'll be seen as more professional rather than not available to understand, or not available or eligible to make people understand. On the contrary, people would think how confident, how precise, and how professional you are. Keep in mind to be calm and professional at all times when dealing with a problem. That's it. This is your actual task, making people definitely feel that they can rely on you, both parties. And to do so, again, just a little summary before I say bye to you here. Preparation, 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 like the very famous word location, location, location. So if you are prepared, if you get the actual required information, if you get to be a team player and rely on each other, help each other, exchange information, be on time, check everything for your own comfort but also for the team's comfort. Don't rely on the team leader only. Rely on your own precision, both in preparation and also conducting it. Good luck with everything. Thank you for listening.